Welcome to Two Gents, where two seasoned gents take on the hard truths of life, success, and responsibility. In a world where the rules don't bend for us, these gents believe in doing the work, owning the struggle, and inspiring others to take action. So, pull up a chair.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to Two Gents Podcast. I'm just one of the hosts out here, Ron Spikes, and I do this every once in a while. I normally do it on Wednesdays, and when I do it on Wednesdays, I have a purpose for doing it. But today is like one of those special days where you just got to take your time and you got to build the process. And as I build this process, I'm gonna piss off some people. I already know it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you no lies. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm not going to do it. I'm trying to look at all myself and make sure that I got it aligned right. But today you're going to hear some hard truths. You're going to hear some stuff that you normally wouldn't hear. And I hope that you when you get mad, I hope that you get mad enough to do something about it. I really do. Because yesterday, I was pissed. Yesterday, I was in my own element. We was having conversations about this show that I'm doing right now, all the way up until about 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the morning. Close to about 12, I'd say. Me, Byron Glass, and Pastor Riggins. The thing that drives me may not drive you. The thing that irks me may not irk you. But as I look, and I got to go here because as I look at this young lady across my shoulder, I wasn't going back here. As a matter of fact, I went through my evolution of changing my mind to vote for Talarico. I was there because it was for the good. It was for the good. As Pastor Riggins, I was choosing the choice of two evils. And I was choosing in a way that I thought that I was going to make a difference in it. See, what I realize now is that people don't want to hear the truth. They don't want the truth. They don't want to hear the truth. They want to hear a sugar-coated lie. And once they get this image in their mind, they never want to hear anything else. They never want anybody to take them somewhere else. They want to bend the truth to feel good. See, I need to let you know who this person is because what I've gathered in my research and how people do videos, and I'm not, this is probably one of the few times that you see me do it. I'm not even in my element when I do this. But I need you to understand some things, and I again, you know me. I'm one of these guys. I like to stick to the source, so I stick to the strip. I'm not saying that I can prove secret meetings, hidden alliances. I can't, and I won't lie just to make my point stronger. But I can speak on what people saw with their own eyes. People saw Barack Obama show up publicly for James Talarico. People heard the Harvard references. That's going to mean something in just a little bit. People saw institutional support falling behind James Talarico. Now, mind you, this person was just a person running out of a small county in Texas that he wasn't even on a national stage. They had to, and I'm gonna say this till somebody understand it. They had to build him up to even be in the same presence with Jasmine Crockett. Somebody went out of their way. They went down the street, around the corner. They went out of their way to make this man come up to the same level as Jasmine Crockett. They spent, as we say, buku amount of money. They spent so much money to build him up to be on the same level. And as we go through this presentation, I need you to understand that I'm not going to do all the talking. I'm going to do some of the talking, but I'm going to get this part out. People saw a political machine activate behind this person, and nobody understood where it came from, how he got it, and what was going on. I don't even think Jasmine knew the battle that she was in for when she got into this race, because she had everything that was putting her in a position where she should have won from the very beginning. People saw this machine activate. I'm just going to tell you, but many of those same people never saw that same public energy for Jasmine Crockett. When I say political machine, when we get through with this thing, you're going to understand the reason why I'm still talking about Jasmine Crockett today. The reason why people still feel the way they do about Jasmine Crockett. And I'm looking at her picture. I'm just telling you, it's the reason why people are hurt. The contrast hurting people, not because support itself is wrong, but because what the difference in support appears to communicate. Too many black voters, for black voters, too many of us feels like black loyalty is always expected, but black struggle does not always receive the same visible protection in return. I'm going to say that again. Black struggle does not always receive the same visible protection in return. And then after all of that, suddenly black voters are critically important again once victory is on the top. See, let me explain that, because you know what? You need to understand this part in order to know what's wrong right now. See, when she was running, when she got into the race, nobody showed up. They act like they didn't know her. She did everything that she did basically by herself. But you know what? They'll lie and tell you, oh, that was a primary. We couldn't get involved. When has a Republican, now I'm gonna say this, and I need you to understand what I'm saying. When has a Republican followed the rules in the last year? When has a Republican followed the rules that was in place? If Trump needed to get in the primary, he would have got behind any candidate that was in the primary. He would have showed up. He would have showed out. He would have did everything to get that person elected. Oh, you're not there yet, but you're gonna get there by the time this is over with. You're gonna get there by the time this is over with, because we have a man that has done everything correct, fought the right battle, went through the same process as this person right here, Jasmine Crockett. But yet, it's almost like people say, when you move out of the neighborhood, you forget where you came from. You forget that you had to have somebody step up for you and speak for you. You forget that it took that for you to get, your name wasn't recognized anywhere, except maybe in Chicago. But then you linked in with the Jacksons, and now your name became popular. Then you got your political machine behind you, because then you became viable. But you want to help this person out when they needed you. But then let me go here, because I'm gonna have to stick with the script, because I get too much on my own, and then I'm out of it. At what cost? At what cost? That's the name of this video today. At what cost? At what cost do we sacrifice solidarity for strategy? At what cost do we ask communities to ignore what feels disrespectful? At what cost do we tell people not to believe what they are plainly seeing? Because whether people agree or disagree politically, symbolism matters. It defend how you defend it matters. Who gets elevated matters. Who gets left standing alone matters too, because it's almost like you took this person, and it wasn't like she was a nobody, but you trample on her to get to somebody else. Sometimes you got to change in midstream to understand that, that might have been a good idea to start with, but you got to be willing to change, because there's a lot of people that was willing to change to support you. And they look like me or you, but they didn't turn their back on you like you did her. Almost, you didn't accomplish so much in your lifetime. You got your library coming out and all the rest of that. I wish you would just attend basketball games and talk to the players. I wish you would just go to common events or speak on the stage and say what you got to say, but don't stick your head back in politics, or you're going to ruin or taint your reputation. Because what they're doing right now, they're using you to try to get the black vote to come back. They had the black vote in Texas was behind Jasmine Crockett already. But because they had to taint it so bad, that they had to get the black messiah. They had to get you to come back and let people know it's all right to vote for this person. Maybe you've been wherever you was in Martha's Vineyard or whatever, but it's some stuff that's happened down here in Texas that you should have been paying attention to, or maybe you was paying attention to, and that's the reason why you had to get in the camp. You had to get to a point where they had to get you involved. Now, I did say I don't know the facts behind the scene, but I can show you video. I can show you videos, and I'm about to go there, and let me tell you, when I get into it, it's going to tell a whole different story. Because one thing that I discovered about technology, you can move your lips. You can give people all the handshakes and tap the baby's butts and all the rest of that in public. But that information is out there. Before I bring in this next video, I need to set it up, because I'm doing like them. I did my research yesterday. They say y'all love to see other people being brought into to support your theory. When they do this, they say you love that part of it. You love to see other people tell the story. And you build up people that just clap videos together. But you don't like to hear the truth, the hard-spoken truth anymore. And that's I guess they might as well tell you don't, like they always put on us. We don't if you don't want them to understand it, put it in the book. Put it in the book. I can't see my comments right now, so I know I'm going down this path, because here's what gets me the most. As black people, we're the most loyal people out there. We're the most loyal. We will give in to make stuff better. This wasn't a case of making it better. This was a case of just saying, I'm going to leave her out to hang her out to dry. But nobody did that for you. If you don't believe me, let's get into it. Let's go. Let's start getting this video going. I done set it up already. Let me just make sure I got this. And I want to say this before I get into it. I'm not saying I can prove any secret meetings or hidden alliances. I can't. But here's the first video I want you to get to, because this is a young man that's trying to get you to pay attention to what he has going.
We've got to make some decisions right now. And so I feel a sense of urgency for the country.
There were all sorts of things that mitigated his chances for success, not the least of which was race. His father was a black man from Kenya, his mother a white woman from Kansas, and he spent his formative years living with his maternal grandparents in Hawaii. A black child in a white family, he struggled with his racial identity.
If you look African American in this society, you're treated as an African American. And when you're a child in particular, that is how you begin to identify yourself.
Did you hear that? That's how you begin to identify yourself. That's how you establish who you are. That's a young Barack Obama that nobody knows. Nobody knows him at this point in his career. So he's answering the questions like he was somebody. But he started there just like she did. She wasn't up north, she was down south. He started there. And you may say, well, why does this make any sense? Because you can't sit behind the scenes and change things, and then when somebody brings it out to the public, you all of a sudden you want to run and hide. No, you don't have the opportunity to run and hide. And if anybody of any substance that was out there would bring this up just like I am, because I'm doing this on limited resources, I'm doing this on my own time, I'm putting it out there. Not to embarrass you, but to let people know that our house is on fire. And the foundation ain't there no more. You built, you hardened the foundation when you was in office. You gave little kids the opportunity to look to you and say, I can do it too. You gave them that opportunity. You stood up there and you gave it, and then you got double terms. You set the inspiration for our kids to follow. And the real reason why I'm here and I'm frustrated because I got two daughters. What if they was in Jasmine Crockett position? You got two daughters. What if somebody did the same thing that you did to Jasmine Crockett to your two daughters? One of them had the amateur, and one of them wanted to be just like her father. Want to follow him and be a president. But you chose. You're choosing not to do it for Jasmine Crockett. You're choosing not to do it for Jasmine Crockett. Oh no, I know people ain't gonna want to hear this, but I'm gonna say it anyway, because you got to. If you're gonna do it, you got to be held accountable for it. Here's a conversation that he had about James Talarico before Talarico even became anybody.
Out of Texas.
Oh, that guy's good, right?
He's terrific. A really talented young man. And it does require a certain confidence in your actual convictions to debate and have a conversation with somebody who disagrees with you on a whole bunch of stuff.
What makes him so good, though? Because there is something grounded about him that you had it too.
I you know what? So in our foundation, a lot of the work that I do is working with young civic leaders, political leaders, journalists, human rights lawyers, not just here in the United States, but around the world. And one of the first things I say to them is, know what you really believe.
Right.
I think a guy like him, his starting point is, let me say what I believe. I think now more than ever, what people long for, and the word authenticity gets overused, I think. What people long for is some core integrity that seems absent, just a sense.
Think about what he just said. As we get into this video, think about the words that he just used, core. Think about the words that he just used. But he used them in this video. I don't want to go in and out, but I need to make sure that you understood that point right there.
The person seems to walk the walk, doesn't just talk the talk. There's this young state rep, James Talarico.
That's when he first starts talking about how the two got together. And I mean, I did research. I searched every which way I could. And you know, with this broad internet, if it was a way that him and this guy would have met up and he would have knew who this guy was, it would have been out there. If ever they had a chance where they saw each other in passing or anything, or he came to Texas. Did he come to Texas? Did he come to Texas and sit down with the guy and meet him? Was he how did James Talarico come up to the level that he did? I want you, I set that up for this. I set that up for this.
You know how everyone's been asking what happened? Well, I'm ready to spill the tea. Several of you have sent me this article from today in which James Talarico says, I called Jasmine Crockett in July and she said she wasn't running. That's why I decided to run for Senate. As someone that was involved in discussions with all of the camps, Summer, I know that's not exactly true, so let's rewind. You see, for the first half of 2025, James was actually very committed to running for governor. That's what he had built his brand on being the anti-Abbott. And it's already been publicly reported on that he was in conversation with Beto and Joaquin Castro to form this statewide slate. Castro saying, I'll run for attorney general since I'm the only attorney in the room. And it would have been a great slate, because think about it. Beto probably could not have gotten donors to buy into a rematch against Greg Abbott, but for a Senate run where he can show them that he's got a full slate supporting him, something that he didn't have in 2018, donors are ready to bite. And all three candidates would have benefited from Beto's massive infrastructure that he's built. Republicans would have also spent most of their money attacking him, and we probably could have snuck the other two through. But then in late spring, a consultant named Liz Smith flew Talarico out to New York City. She wined and dined him, introduced him to some really big names. And when he came back, his staff has said they were caught completely off guard and shocked to hear him say that he no longer wanted to run for governor and was all in on running for Senate. All summer long, people worked to try to get this statewide slate to happen, knowing that it would be very hard to imagine a scenario in which we didn't win one or multiple of these seats. Still, James was set on running for Senate and told people Paxton was an easier opponent for him to face. So one seat instead of multiple seats for one man. When he launched, that was the end of discussions, and everyone was willing to
moved on. And the races that you ran for president. And you're listening to this guy.
Because I want you to hear this when in its entirety. I need to play this because you need to see what another black person does for a different black person that's trying to go somewhere. This is how you do it. This is how, even if you don't come out and come out, make the trip to Texas, you get the same media that you did as this man. And this was way before we had the technology that we did. And I want to let this play because I need you to digest everything that he's saying. And he just passed away. And I respect him more now than any other time.
What are you thinking? What are you thinking?
That this guy's about to run perhaps the last leg of a 54-year race. Because one thought was, in my mind, was the 64 Democratic Convention in Atlantic City, New Jersey, where it was an all-white Mississippi delegation, and Fannie Lou Hamer, the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, couldn't get a seat. They finally got 2 seats. To see us go from fighting for 2 seats in Atlantic City to his being the keynote speaker in effect of that convention was like a certain evolution. My mind kept going back and forth over the progress we had made. I also was reminded, I'm always reminded of our development, how we got there. 1954 in Kansas, the state where his mother was born, the law changed. Race supremacy became illegal at that point. So the Montgomery bus boycott and the Little Rock Nine were all test cases testing the new law. And the sit-ins were testing the new law. And by 64, we got a public accommodations bill that began to change the culture. Then the Voting Rights Act of 65. What's interesting about that act, it is seen as like a voting rights for blacks only. It's not so. In 65, in Alabama, white women couldn't serve on juries. Farmers who couldn't pay poll taxes couldn't vote. Blacks couldn't vote. But so that Voting Rights Act was for all those groups. And then by 1970, 18-year-olds got the right to vote. That certainly was not for blacks only. 74, we got the right of residency. So if you go to the University of Iowa, for example, you don't have to vote absentee or go home to vote. You can vote where you go to school. So this year, whole dormitories could register in Iowa and become a caucus. We were changing the rules, in part inspired by what my governor done in 72, I might add. 75, we got bilingual. So if your native language was Spanish or Native American or Eastern European or Russian, as the case may be, you could vote in that language. That changed the demographics as well. By 84 and 88, we sought to make democracy more accessible by lowering the threshold and moving toward proportionality, not just winner take all, so more people could have a place in the democracy, because we had artificially high barriers as to who could be a delegate, and then winner take all, just white people out in great masses. Well, these rule changes and regulation adjustments to democratize and humanize the process. Barack comes in on the tail end of that, running the last leg of a 54-year marathon. And what a magnificent race he has run, with all of the skill, the vision, the magnetism, and the exquisite timing.
When do you first meet him? When does he come on your radar screen the first time? I know I've talked to some people who talked about the fact that he would show up at push meetings on Saturday mornings. Of course, Michelle had connections, had friendship with your daughters. When's the first time he comes on your radar screen?
Well, early on, my kids who knew him and Michelle talked about him. They knew he had a special kind of quality that's kind of in table talk, you know. And then he ran for state senate. And I got to know him even better. He would come to our Saturday morning meetings and would make a brief presentation. People were just adjusting to his name at that time or to his face. He ran for U.S. Senate and Congressman Jackson, and he was very close, and they still are very close. And he was not so well known. And Jesse Jr. and Barack ran joint ads on billboards in the city, getting his face out there for U.S. Senate. What people thought to be a kind of impossible race at that time. Of course, it was Carol Moulton Brown had done it, and he did it again, and did it in an awesome and grand style. So I just kind of watched him grow, and with the capacity to relate across lines. He's a kind of bridge builder. Some people, the more you know them, the less you are attracted to them. On the contrary, Barack, the more you know him, the more you're attracted to him. Even in the campaign this past year, where he was not well known, had not gone, he didn't get the vote. If he stayed in a given state for 3 or 4 days, the more people heard him, and some, the more they liked him, because he has the gift of charisma, which is a kind of gift of the spirit. He attracts people with that special something in his personality and maintains them with his awesome intellect. He's
I just want to share that with you. I need you to understand who this person is. I need you to understand that his struggle was pretty much like hers. But she was ahead of the game in a sense, because she was in Congress for a period of time. She had already done the work to stay and be recognized where she was. And if you go back to my videos, you'll see me saying the same exact thing. But what woke me up, and before I can get woke up all the way, I need you to see something. I'm gonna use it like hey, the research say y'all want to see somebody else tell a story. This next guy I'm gonna add to the story, I want him to tell you who Jasmine Crockett is.
9th, 1981 in St. Louis, Missouri. Her father, a pastor and teacher. Her mother, a postal worker. Now, she attended a couple of Catholic schools, from Mary Institute and St. Louis Country Day, then Rosati Kane, an all-girls Catholic high school. In 2003, she graduated from Rhodes College in Memphis with a degree in business administration. Now, it was at college where she and some of her friends experienced racism firsthand. Some of her friends' cars were keyed. She received hate mail, and she saw how the lawyers showed up. That's when she made the decision to become a lawyer instead of a CPA. She started law school at Texas Southern's Thurgood Marshall School of Law, then transferred and graduated from the University of Houston's Law Center in 2006. While she could have went and worked for some big law firm, she decided to become a public defender in Bowie County, Texas, and built her own practice focusing on civil rights and criminal defense. And she often took pro bono cases. But then came politics. In 2020, she ran for the Texas House of Representatives, District 100. She won and she took office January 2021. That same year, she and some of her fellow Democrats made national headlines when they left Texas, broke quorum to stop restrictive voting bills from passing. Little over a year after she was sworn in 2022, when the late and the great former Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson retired after serving for 3 decades in Congress, she decided to run for her seat. She won the primary, then she won the general election. By 2023, she was sworn into the United States House of Representatives, representing the 30th Congressional District of Texas. And with that swearing in, she made history as the first African-American graduate of the University of Houston Law Center to serve in Congress. A year after that, in 2024, she stepped onto the national stage again when she spoke at the Democratic National Convention. She also served as co-chair for the Harris Waltz campaign. Today, she serves on multiple committees in Congress. She's co-sponsored bills on voting rights, pushed back on police misconduct, and has been a huge advocate for reproductive justice. And who can forget about her famous sayings, beach blonde, bad built, butch body. But with all of that, she's not just holding a seat, she's using it. Her name, United States Representative Jasmine Crockett. So the next time someone tries to call her out of her name, you remind them she's a United States Congresswoman, a position that Laura herself tried to go after multiple times, but could not win. How's that for some Black history?
You heard that? Now that's a person. That's a person that we didn't give a chance. That's a person that didn't come from Harvard, didn't come from Yale, didn't have a machine behind her, but she started at the bottom and worked her way up. And that's what hurts, because a lot of people don't understand that when you start at the bottom and work your way up and you go through all of that, you miss some things. You miss some things. Let me tell you something. I got a comment, and I ain't gonna even bring it up. People hate us so bad that they call us dumbass Black people. Now, the 2 people I'm talking about is probably one of the most educated people out there. You just heard about Jasmine. You know the story about Barack. You know that he held the highest office in the land. So how can you call them 2 dumbass Black people? That's the country that we live in. I ain't gonna even bring it to the stage because it's not worth it. But I need to let you know where you at. And the real reason why we got to take advantage of every chance that we get to elevate one of our own. We're not living in a society where they opening up doors for Black people. We're not living. We're not in Willie Lynch era either. But we ain't came so far, because what they're saying is that, yeah, we let that one in, and we're gonna shut the door behind him. Nobody else is coming. But if we're shutting doors for our own, if we're the ones shutting the doors for somebody that has the same skin color as we do, what are we saying to our youth? What are we saying? No. I couldn't sit still for this one. I had to bring it back up. Most of the stuff I already said, but this young lady don't deserve what happened to her. And you know what reopened the wound that made it harder for me to get here? You know what got me here? I want to share this because you want to know why I'm angry. You want to know why I'm upset. The reason why I just can't do it. I can't do it. Because too many of you that look like me could have showed up for this young lady. here's I can't just put it all on him. Here's another person. I can't do it that way. Let me go back out, and I'm gonna have to come back into it. But this is another person. Ask the question point blank on the stage. I need you to hear his answer. See, we
announced to run for Senate on Monday. I'm curious what you make of that.
I want y'all to hear his answer because if you,
I'm curious what you make of that.
I haven't talked to Jasmine this week when she made the final decision to move forward, but she's an incredibly talented individual, a hard worker, and a fighter. She's going to be a very formidable candidate.
That's the only thing that was ever said by him when Jasmine was running for office. Now, wait a minute. You mean to tell me on the other side they begging, talking, and trying to get the president to come out and he ends up showing up? Because I don't think that people understand what the primaries are about. I don't think that you understand it, because if you did, you would be as angry as I am right now about what's going on and what has happened. I don't think you understand that. If you see me looking around, I'm looking around because I got some videos that I want to bring up, and I want to show you something before I get into this other part. This is a short video, so I need you to see this one, and then I'm gonna try to find the other one that I got up because I had them all in one folder, but now it's getting mixed up because I'm trying to do too much. But I need you to check out this. Now, hear me clear. Don't be offended by this. It's short, but it's.
In this past election, sadly, we ain't ready. That's why I'm like, don't even look at me about running, because you all are lying. You're not ready for a woman.
Now, that was his other half. Just want to tell you, that was his other half. That was his wife, the mother of his two kids, saying that you're not ready. But if your husband ain't coming out to support the woman that's there, it wasn't like she was a nobody. We didn't ask you to bring her up. We didn't ask you to build her up. We asked you to just come out and support her. All that other stuff that was going on the other side, and then the only thing that you're gonna fall back on was this was the primaries. You sound like Allen Iverson talking about this was practice. Well, while they was practicing, they was cheating, doing everything up under the sun that they could do for their team. While we just playing along with the role. But see, let me tell you what I hate about users. See, because this was a story, I need to bring this up because this was a story directly after the election. It was all across America. And I heard it for the first time. And this is, after you hear it, I want you to hear what this guy is basically saying. I need you to hear it in its entirety. I want you to hear the machine in effect going, working. How long it's been working? What you should be asking yourself is who put this in place? You see, come on now. Don't give up on me now. You're gonna make me say like everybody else. Okay, let me remove it. I'm gonna try to get it back up again. Let me remove some of the stuff that I got on the stage. But this guy said it clear, and he said it where everybody could understand it. And this was the first time since I've been following politics that I ever heard a person like him come on and speak like he did. I thought I had 2 or 3 of them. Let me try this one again and see if it works. If it don't work, I'm gonna go back and refine it and pull it up on the stage. No. Come on, thing. Let's see if I can get it. It's not gonna even. There it is. Hold on. I pushed it too far back and I messed up. But you can make mistakes. Let me just say this. This is a one-man show.
I've been in war rooms for 30 years on election night, watching the results came in, and then last night was another crazy one. Before I head to the airport to get back to D.C., I need to tell you how this happened. It starts with the candidate. James Talarico is a special candidate, and I take nothing away from Jasmine Crockett, who ran an incredible race. You know, hat tip to her and her team. Hat tip to her and her team this morning. I love to see the unity and her coming together. We're going to win in November. We're going to beat the Republicans. But James Talarico ran the right kind of race at the right time. He also had an amazing staff. Seth, his manager, assembled a great crew, and they did an outstanding job. Gina Hinojosa, that's the Talarico Gina Hinojosa, and JT on the press team, that whole crew just worked day and night, and me getting to spend some time with them and see the energy on the ground really made some difference. But how did he win? He won because he showed up in communities. He ran advertising in those communities. He had an amazing field team with 28,000 volunteers, over 600 community events in just 8 weeks. They sent over 4 million peer-to-peer texts, like grassroots organizing combined with paid advertising in digital, TV, radio, around sporting events, and a robust Latino advertising campaign in Spanish, in English, but a lot of Spanish advertising, a lot of advertising in the Valley. I'm going to write more about this later, but there's a reason why James won last night, because he had the full effect of a great team, a great message. He's a great candidate, and he assembled the right folks to actually get it done. There's going to be a lot written about the Latino vote and the strength of the Latino vote, and are Latinos moving back to the left? Well, last night proved one thing for damn sure. They will move back for James Talarico if you show up and give him a hopeful message. I'll talk to y'all in a little bit. I'm going to go get on an airplane. I love you all. Thank you for all the love and all the text and all the things this morning. I'm super excited. Gosh damn, it never gets old. Y'all be good.
Y'all, you know what I picked up from that? I'm going to tell you what I picked up from that. This was a guy that was saying that I was put in place to make sure that this machine worked. I was put in place to do this. If you go back and do any research on this particular guy, he's a national. He's on a national level. They call him in when they need to get that kick in to keep things moving. When I heard that, the first thing I said was, wait a minute. There's something wrong here. It ain't no way in the world that this man that was nobody had access to this particular person. I got to get back to my thing. Maybe I'm the dumbest person in the world. Maybe I believe too much. Maybe I thought loyalty actually meant something. Because if former President Barack Obama can suddenly show up now for James Talarico, if all the energy can be suddenly appear now, even Kamala Harris can make an appearance. Even if it was at the end, Kamala Harris showed up for Jasmine Crockett. Do you understand how important that is? Do you understand that they're not playing by the rules on the other side? They threw the rule book out of the office when he sit in that desk in the Oval Office. They threw the rule books. There's no rules no more. You couldn't show up. You couldn't support. When somebody asks you a question, you have to act like you're the dumbest person out there on the stage. You don't know who the person. I haven't talked to. I'm not showing you stuff that's not real. I'm showing you stuff that's in your face, and they calling you dumbasses. And you know where I got that from? I got that from Michael Steele. When he was sitting there on that stage, and he was so frustrated with how everything was going, that he said, you know what? Y'all must be dumbasses, because you don't even see what's going on, what this man is doing to this country at this time. You're not paying attention. This man was the president of the Republican. I got that title, but I'm kind of upset. But Michael Steele from the other side saying there was some dumbasses, that we were dumbasses. And he was right. You know, and I'm going to call, and I'm going to say his full name, former President Barack Obama. I believe you were wrong here. Morally, wrong symbolically, wrong politically, especially for black people. And the video that I showed you that he was on the right path at first. He should be sitting back. But no, you know what they using him, and he's letting them use him to try to swing the black vote back. He's letting them use him to try to swing the black vote back. You had the black vote. The only thing you had to do was bring on the Hispanic vote. But that political machine that you had set in place wasn't working for Jasmine Crockett, because you had to do twice as much to get this man up to this level. That's what I want people to understand. It's crazy. You found out who Jasmine Crockett. From the bottom to the top. It's more of us on the bottom than it is on the top. Stop trying to tell us who we need to vote for. Stop trying to say, if we don't vote for this person, it's an automatic vote for the other side. Well, if you're playing games behind the table like this, it's going to always be another vote. How has that working? How has that worked for us? Hell, during the last election cycle. Because you didn't want her from the beginning. You didn't want Kamala from the beginning. If you don't believe me, ask James Clyburn. I'm sure he ain't gonna lie. He knew you was calling him in the background to get who you wanted in place. That's public information. That's in books right now. You can go out there and look at it. He wouldn't even take your call because he knew that you was trying to do behind the scenes. Then you show up in Texas. You show up in Texas, in the state where she just lost the election, but you couldn't show up for her. Now I'm sure y'all gonna run here to Texas to try to save this great black vote. But in the meantime, your boy Chuck said that they didn't even solicit the black vote. They didn't care. The only vote they wanted was the Hispanic vote. Well, y'all got it. Why did they call you in? The great Messiah, the great black hope, the person that can move everybody. Because if we don't get him down there, they still upset about how we treated Jasmine Crockett. Let me just say this. I haven't heard her say anything about what happened to her. She's still taking the right road. But you need to own it. And the real reason why this video that I'm doing is so important, because we need to understand. We need to understand that our young black kids are in this. Have we forgot that in order for the next generation to grow up and think that they can do what you did, we have to show them by example? We have to show them by example. Let me. They say y'all like seeing videos, so maybe I'm talking too much. Let me do this. This is a guy that I need you to see, because he says some things that you need to hear. And then I'm going to bring up the other part, because somebody told me that this guy was not a racist.
He ended up dropping out and was all like, okay, I'm going to run for Congress. Well, Jasmine Crockett also shared those same numbers with James Talarico. And instead of him, bowing out gracefully, he was like, no, I'm still going to stay in. So, this is where we are right now. So again, Colin Allred was in the race, and James Talarico was under the impression that Jasmine wasn't going to, jump in the Senate race. She was just going to stay with Congress or fight for her seat or whatever. Well, it's not her fault that she changed her mind, because let's not forget, her seat was basically taken off the map. Texas was redistricted, you know, in the way where they fixed the map, you know, all the gerrymandering. So her seat was gone. So it was kind of like.
Let me say this while this guy is talking, because that's a key point there. If ever you was going to change the rules and jump in for somebody doing the race, or somebody that looked like you, that you was going to give them support, they basically took her seat by gerrymandering the maps. And you mean to tell me that wasn't enough to get you to come to Texas and stand up with her and stand on the side of her? Said, we know that they took your seat, but we're going to get here and we're going to support you. We're going to do everything that we can to go behind you, because we know that the candidates is out there. But no, they didn't do that. Let me let this play, because I'm getting mad all over.
Okay, well, she can fight for another seat, or, hey, why don't I just go for the Senate? I got the name recognition. The poll numbers say that I would do good. I have the best chance or the best shot. Let's go ahead and do it. And so she jumped in the race. And so there has been this attack of how dare she jump in a primary where everybody runs. How dare you jump in a primary? This has been the question. And it's all like,
primary. What did I tell you about practice? But nobody jumped in behind her. Nobody supported her. Nobody did anything. But I feel like a Baptist minister here. Let me go ahead and finish this, because I'm gonna say some things that's gonna hurt some people's feelings. Real quick.
Well, in the primary, aren't we supposed to pick the best candidate? Well, Texas is supposed to pick the best candidate, right? So there's nothing wrong with competition, you know? And so this information came out from this TikToker named Morgan, that he called, James Talarico called Colin Allred the mediocre black man. And so this is where the backlash has come. So people are telling Colin Allred, oh, how do you believe a third-hand information, second-hand information, blah, blah, blah. So they have been coming for this woman, you guys. It's very disgusting. So I want to go ahead and play you her.
I want to stop that there, because I want you to listen to what he said. They came after her because of what Colin Allred, what Talarico has said about another black man. You can't sweep that under the rug. Let me set this up so you can understand what Colin Allred said. It's the same thing that I'm telling you about Barack Obama, but he said it about James Talarico. But Talarico is on the other side. And that's the reason why this is important, because if you don't understand the context of what's going on, you don't understand the whole thing. Let me just play this. This is what Colin Allred said.
All right, you guys. So let's go ahead and get into Colin Allred's response into being called mediocre, or a mediocre black man, by James Talarico. Here we go.
Morning, everybody. It's cold out here, and I got some steam coming off my head because I'm, just finished my workout. Got some steam coming out of my ears too. I understand that James Talarico had the temerity and the audacity to say to a black woman that he had signed up to run against a mediocre black man, meaning me, not a formidable, intelligent black woman, meaning Jasmine Crockett. Let me just break this down into a few segments here. First of all, let me just give you some free advice, James. If you want to compliment black women, just do it. Just do it. Don't do it while also tearing down a black man, okay? We've seen that play before. We're sick and tired of it. We're tired of folks using praise for black women to mask criticism for black men. That's not good for our community. It's not good. It doesn't work, and we know what you're doing, okay? So if next time you want to praise a black woman, just do that. Leave black men out of it. Just leave a lot of things out of it. Second of all, did you ever have a coach or somebody, a leader in your life tell you that when you make an accusation, you often have a bit of confession in it? Maybe you use the word mediocre because there's something creeping into your mind about yourself. Because I know you're not talking about somebody who's been better at 3 things than you've ever been at 1. You are not saving religion for the Democratic Party or the left. We already had Senator Reverend Dr. Raphael Warnock for that. We don't need you. you're not saying anything unique. You're just saying it looking like you do. Okay? And third of all, let me just say to all the young Black men out there, all the young men who come from tough background, struggle growing up, who maybe think that someday you want to put yourself forward as a leader in your community. It's going to have haters like this are going to show up, okay? And you're going to feel like you have to be twice as good and jump twice as high and talk twice as well. But you don't have to. You can walk out there with your shoulders back and your head held up high, knowing who you are and the value that you bring, and understanding that this comes with the territory and that there's going to be folks like this. And when we see them, we should say thank you. Thank you for taking off the mask. Thank you for telling us who you really are and what you really think. And goodbye, okay? Because we're on our way and we don't need you to come with us and we don't need your help to get there. So with that being said, go vote for Jasmine Crockett. This man should not be our nominee for the United States Senate. I wasn't gonna get involved in this race, but listen, don't come for me unless I send for you. Okay, James? And keep my name out of your mouth while you're at it.
Now, you may ask me, why play this? It's after the fact. Because here comes a person that we respect more than anything else. That we respect more than anything else as a Black person. This person is where every Black child in America is trying to go or be or do something, or at least get there, even if they just fall short to get a lawyer's degree and never make it to the top. That's what Cullen already just said. Don't come for me. Don't come for my people. Cullen already stepped out of the race because he knew that Jasmine Crockett had everything that she needed behind her to become the person that she did. And the only thing that tore her out of it was the big machine behind him. Here's another connection that I'm going to tell you. Go back and look at some of my other videos, and they have two things in common. I can't tie it together. I'm going to admit that there's no way in the world. I did all my research. Harvard. Go see what Talarico graduated from. You already know what Barack graduated from. We all know that. But those ties to those universities, those ties to people that knew you when you was there and people that was there when Talarico was there, when Talarico became the person that he is in Texas, because that video that I showed at first, you had never met Talarico. Somebody had to introduce you to him. You had never met Talarico. Somebody had to introduce you to him. So then you go out and do this video. But when this young lady right here on the side of you got the same skin color as your daughter, you didn't do anything for her? Nothing? Not even a peep? Nothing? And you wonder how come I'm mad? Because what got me back to this point? What got me back to this point where I'm at right now? Is when I see this. When I see this. I need you to, when I see this. You know how many wounds you open in people? When you do stuff like this, do you know? I don't think you do. I don't think you're worried about that. You got a political machine that's put in place, and I can't connect the dots. The only thing I can do is show you the images that's out here. Only thing I can do is show people the images that's out here, how you came from wherever you was, and you made a special trip so you could take a photo op with this man. A photo op with this man. But you couldn't do anything for Jasmine Crockett. Y'all couldn't put together any type of presentation where you showed up and she could say, you know what? I didn't even know he was coming. Here's y'all ex-president Barack Obama. Do you know what that would have meant to her campaign? And now and the only reason why they bringing out you guys now is because they know they didn't play with the black vote. They didn't say it in public. They didn't insinuate that they didn't even court the black vote. If I pull up a map for Texas, you will look at Houston, you will look at Dallas, you'll look at San Antonio. That's where the blue area was. But you know what you did? And I'm going to tell you how you're making fools of people and you're playing right in their face. Where you at right now is Austin, Texas. You know the reason why you're there? Let me, it ain't no secret. Because that's his territory. And you're trying to pull the black vote because y'all done played with it, y'all done danced on it, y'all told us that we wasn't important because he won the first election on his own, basically. That's what you're telling us. That's what's being said. Let me, before I get out of here, I don't want y'all to think that was just this particular guy bringing it up, that Cullen Allred stuff. I need you to understand there was more people.
Former Texas Congressman Cullen Allred throwing his support behind liberal firebrand Jasmine Crockett in his state Senate race this year, after her opponent, State Representative James Talarico, allegedly made a disparaging comment about him.
That allegation came from a TikTok user who claimed that in a series of videos, that Talarico told her during an off-the-record one-on-one that he signed up to run against a, quote, mediocre black man, not a, quote, formidable, intelligent black woman, apparently referencing Allred and Crockett, respectively. Those videos went viral, and they caught the attention of Allred, who gave a fiery response in a video of his own. Take a look.
Now, you just seen the response that Allred did. You just seen that response. The full video, not chopped up or anything. This was another person that's out there doing the same thing that I am. His challenge just a little bit bigger than mine. But he had the full video and he explained to you what the primaries are. The primaries where everybody in Texas gets a vote and tells who they want to put in that office. But if the deck is stacked, before that person ever gets a chance, if the deck is stacked where they can't win, she had the numbers in a normal vote that will turn her the election. Maybe y'all don't hear me. She beat out Ken Paxton. She beat out Cronin, whatever his name, Cronin. She beat them in the amount of votes. What they did was put together a presidential election in Texas for this no-name Talarico to win, in spite of those flaws that I just pointed out. And I'm gonna call it, if ain't nobody else calling it, he is a closet racist. You don't, because here's the deal too. At first, he was trying to deny what he said. He was trying to play it out of a different context. But then enough people was around him, and he was too scared that the person that he had talked to had evidence. So what he did was he used a play of words. But here's how what he did wasn't important. Because I'm gonna tell you what hurts the most. Ex-president, first black president of the United States, anywhere, standing up for just resonates dignity, just resonates that style, that grace. When you see this man walk, he represents us well. His family represented the White House well. They didn't tear it down. They didn't bring out the collard greens and pork bones like the mega people said that they would. They didn't do that. They elevated it. But for him to allow them to use him to try to get a black vote back, I'd rather him come down here and do an appearance with Jasmine Crockett. Call her up and say, "Hey, Jazz, you know, I know what happened down there in Texas, and I know that wasn't right. I know your struggle, but I'm gonna get behind you because you may decide to run again." I don't know if that's making any sense to anybody, because maybe I'm the only one out here that's trying to do this. Because see, most people won't do it, and I'm gonna tell you the reason why they won't do it, so you can rest assured that they ain't gonna do it. See, because they want to be able to make that call and get these people on their show. They want to be able to continue that call, that friendship, whatever it's out there that they have established. But at what cost? At what cost are you allowing that to exist? This was a black woman. Look at her. Jasmine Crockett, a black woman. Barack Obama, a black person. We have podcasts out there. There's more podcasts than probably there is news stations in America. The one that I shared that information with that was telling you what the primaries was is another podcaster that's out there. So don't tell me that we don't have the sources to get it out. We just are fighting ourselves. They're not respecting your vote. They're not respecting your vote. They're not respecting you as a person. They get an agenda in their mind and they run with it and then show up in your face and play in it. No. We're going to get this out because they show up in your face and they play in it. They play in it. They play in it. Tell you that it doesn't count. This don't work. That don't work. It's not this way. It's not that way. But I'm gonna bring up another black person. Just I'm doing it y'all way. That's what y'all want it. I'm doing it your way.
The Democrats who are in Texas all excited about the special election victory Saturday in State Senate District 9. And within hours, something else springs up, which is controversial, has some racial undertones. James Talarico, currently leading in the polls, apparently said to someone that Colin Allred, a former member of the House that was in the race and got out, was a mediocrity of some kind. He posts a sulfurous video takedown, endorses Jasmine Crockett. That's kind of a thing that's going on.
You know, it's so striking because I think that this really gets to so many of the things that the Democratic Party is currently grappling with, namely technology, new media, as well as still the identity politics of the last decade, really. You know, this case is one in which a black man who was running for Senate, dropped out, is now running for the House, has come out and said that a social media influencer's comments have influenced his decision to endorse in a race. I mean, that's really remarkable when we really step back about this. And this entire
step-by-step process you just laid out.
It's incredible. I mean, we really are in, like, you know,
wouldn't have been on a bingo card 6 years ago.
21st century, you know? I mean, like, new media is really defining this race. I mean, earlier in this race, Jasmine Crockett was criticized by some comedians on a podcast, and that became another massive controversy in this. So really what you're seeing here is another flashpoint in which national Democrats are understanding and debating the party's brand and identity through these new mediums and formats and through these old conversations on issues like this.
And Evan, speaking of new mediums and formats,
I just need you to see it for yourself. I just need you to see it for yourself because people tell me that you got to make a decision for the good. You got to make a decision. You got to pick the one that's the least, you know, you got to get in there. You got to get in there. You got to vote. You got to support this guy because he's saving the Democratic vote in the state of Texas. At what cost? At what cost is he saving the Democratic vote in Texas if we got to lose a sister at the cost of him getting elected? If we got to lose our dignity at the cost of him getting elected? Because I didn't vote for him. I voted for her. And a lot of people that look like her that could have carried the vote if he didn't have a political machine behind him. And as you dig into it, you begin to realize that it's more to it. There was more worried about her winning the race than it was about him. And come to find out, he's a closet racist. So invite him into your churches to speak on your pulpit. Invite him into your graduation ceremonies to speak on whatever's out there. Continue to invite him. But know that he's a closet racist. And if he was any of the Christian man that he claims to be, this wouldn't have happened. Let me just say, let me see if I can pull it up, because this wouldn't have never happened. If he was all that he said he was claiming to be, this wouldn't have never happened. And you know what good Christian people do when this happens? What do they do? I want you to get it for yourself. I'm not putting up anything. I'm letting the story tell its own story.
Ability when it comes to Jasmine Crockett, but can y'all explain to me something that I saw in the FEC filings today? Yeah, so let's take a quick look at this Schedule A filing that I found on the FEC website right here. So actually, wait, I can't see this. Hold on. Okay, that's better. I can't see shit without my glasses. Ignore the glare. So this is a $500,000 donation made by the Lone Star Rising PAC, which is a super PAC, to James Talarico on January 27th of 2026. And before we get out of here, I want you guys to take a look at the source information right here. You see that name? Reed Hoffman. Does that name sound familiar to you? Oh, look, it's just a Jasmine Crockett supporter trying to put dirt on James Talarico. Here's the fucking filing. Here's the Schedule A for $500,000 to James Talarico on January 27th of 2026. Isn't this the same Reed Hoffman that was in the Epstein files over 2,600 times before all these files started being removed? That guy, right? You remember him. Hey Reed, look at you explaining your visits to the infamous private island, his New Mexico ranch, his New York apartment, all according to those emails that came from Jeffrey Epstein. You remember those? I know that they took him down, having a little bit of issues with this whole cover-up situation. But yeah, that Reed Hoffman on January 27th donated to James Talarico. So if you want to talk to me about electability, hey, James Talarico, are you going to get rid of that $500,000? Are you going to give it back and denounce Reed Hoffman for all of the ties to Epstein's Island, according to Jeffrey Epstein's emails? Since it was a misunderstanding about the whole thing of you calling Colin Allred a mediocre black man. Hey, James, you going to get that $500,000 back, buddy? Because $500,000 is a lot of money. That doesn't seem very electable to me. But, what do I know? I'm just a Jasmine Crockett supporter. And before I let you guys go, let's go ahead and chop off one of the excuses that I know the Talarico campaign is going to use. On February 24th, he was speaking to KView, and he said, quote, I'm going to read from my screen now. He said, quote, "Those super PACs are not donating to our campaign. I legally can have no influence on an outside group, whether they're supporting me, whether they're against me, whether they're neutral in the race. All I have control over is my campaign. I'm the only candidate in this primary not taking corporate PAC money," end quote. You saw the Schedule A filing from Reed Hoffman, $500,000 on January 27th of 2026. And then this quote that I just read to you was made by Talarico on February 24th of 2026. James Talarico is lying to you. He's playing in your face. Peace.
I'm sorry I messed that up, but I needed to. I was going to go off, but I forgot about that last little part. And I hope that you got that, because see, he not playing in my face. I had this. I did this video. I done brought up almost every video that I done showed you. I done brought it up before in support of Jasmine Crockett and asking you the question, why did she lose? Why did she lose? Now, Barack shows up at what cost? Because he represents the epitome of being a black man that went to the highest office in the land for the first time. We wanted somebody in office that looked like us so bad that we called Bill Clinton the first black president. But then we get one there and they playing in his face too, because I can't believe that he showed up here today, or he showed up yesterday, and he didn't look at any of the information about James Talarico. You don't play with people like that. You don't play with black people vote. You definitely don't play with I think her name is Weber. She's telling you, if you go to my website, you can see it on there. Weber is not playing. She say, you don't play with our vote. You don't play with us as a people. Talarico, you're a racist. Everybody calling him a closet racist, but here you show up and just mess it up for us. You could have stayed wherever you were. I wouldn't be doing this video. But I ain't gonna let y'all at all costs let this young lady sacrifice this young lady. Because I got black daughters, you got black daughters, and you sacrificing your whole thing to support this closet racist here? I don't get it. Maybe somebody else can help me understand this. Because I am lost. I am lost because I don't give up everything for somebody that's borderline closet racist. Everything's point to it, because when he called another black man mediocre, don't think that he won't call you the same thing. Don't think that he's not saying behind closed doors, oh yeah, I got Barack Obama on my side. There ain't nothing that nobody can do to me. I'm gonna win this race. I hope, and I don't usually do this, I hope that he doesn't make it anywhere. I hope that he can't even beat the worst Republicans in the state. Because Paxton has the baddest, he's worse than Obama. So if Paxton beats this guy and you flew all the way down here to get in his corner to try to change it, that's a reflection on you. That's a reflection on you. Because you had the person right here named Jasmine Crockett, punched all the tickets, struggled. Her parents were normal, everyday people, working, trying to do something. And you just ruined it. I got a comment that I'm going to bring to the stage. The saddest part is how black folks tore Jasmine down, and many Democrats did the same. They caused the domino effect on black representation. I agree with you. But here's the thing that I don't agree with. I don't agree with a man of his caliber coming here, showing up, supporting this person. This person. I don't agree with it. I don't care how y'all say it.
First of all, let me just give you some
with it. I don't agree with it. And I'm trying to get it back to the stage, but I'm messing up because I'm upset. You don't do this to another black person. Even if, it's after the fact. I'm going to show up. I'm going to come riding in my entourage, and I'm going to show up, and I'm going to make sure that I don't go down there where them black people are. I'm going to go to Austin, and it's kind of liberal up there. So that's where he's at. That's his stomping ground. Well, let me tell you something about his stomping grounds. He's going to need those black people where you haven't been yet to support him. And don't show up in none of their churches here, because if they give you an audience, I understand what you were saying. If they give you an audience, there's something wrong with them. If they give up their pulpit to let you come in because you show up in the entourage, there's something wrong with them, especially in support of a closet racist. I'm gonna get out of here soon, but I need to make sure that I get y'all to understand what's going on. And I had one more video that I need to pull up, because they say y'all love videos. They say that y'all identify with videos. You won't. Let me tell you what else they say about y'all. They say you won't read a book. They say you won't read a book. And we already had a commenter to come on and say that y'all just a bunch of dumbasses. I guarantee he don't look like Jasmine Crockett. Let me just say this. We got somebody else making a comment. I didn't trust him because every other word he said was God or Jesus. Trump and his minions did the same thing. I don't have to. You're right. You're right. You're right. I have to agree with you. You're right. And here's what I'll say to that. You don't have to take my word for it. I always say, you may not like the messenger, but when I put somebody else up to tell the message, when I put somebody else to tell the message and you still don't get it, that's on you. That's on you. That's not on me. That's not on anybody else. But I hate what I hated, and I'm still trying to get this video in the background. What I hated was what he did, because he didn't have to do it. He didn't have to show up for her. He didn't have to show up for him. Even if he showed up for the other woman, I would have respected that more than him showing up for James Talarico. James Talarico has some baggage, and they're cleaning it up. They're cleaning it up, and that's what we don't see. They're cleaning up his baggage, and they had to call in the big gun, because the big gun would get us black people right in line. The big gun is going to make a difference. But here's what I want to say to you. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I mean it. Barack, there's a lot of fires that's going on in this country. Talarico is not one of them. The Supreme Court decision that came down, there's a lot of fires in this building, and Talarico is not one of them. It didn't even affect his vote. It affected ours. The Supreme Court decision didn't affect his vote, but it affected Jasmine's. It affected mine, and it affected yours. Even if it didn't affect yours, it's still affecting the people in your family's vote. What kind of message are we sending, or lack thereof, to our young black race? When you show up in a picture photo op that you never gave Jasmine the opportunity. Now, if I had pictures of you coming down here showing up for Jasmine, and she still lost, you know what I would say? I would say, okay. I would say, okay. I would say, okay. But I can't say okay now. Let me just get this last comment, I'm going to get out of here. Kamala stood with Jasmine, but she came out late. But at least she showed up. You don't see these pictures you don't see this all over the internet. After the fact, oh, no. You don't see that. But let me share something else with you. I'm going to tell you, in case none of y'all have woken up to it. I need you to see this. I need you to see this one. The house is on fire, black people. The house is on fire, black people. If we don't do anything to change it, if we don't do anything to change what's going on, it ain't going to happen. This is one of the few times that we have an opportunity to try to change it. The midterms are important, but we need to stop making mistakes by having our person, I'm not going to even call him a Messiah, show up, because that's what they tried to make him out to be. A Messiah show up to save their person, because they knew that the black vote wasn't coming. Maybe because they knew the great Messiah would line them people right back up. Hear the sarcasm, hear the disappointment, hear the sense of betrayal. But let me ground this. You're saying Barack Obama is a villain? You're saying the symbolism of his choices carries weight, especially for the black voters who saw him as a historical breakthrough? You're saying even if he won't show up for us consistently, then he will. That's a wound. That's a wound that's put into us. I need to go here because I need to get out of here. I'm taking too long. I'm not rejecting the high road. I'm rejecting the one-sided road, the kind where Black people are expected to always be gracious, patient, and forgiving, loyal. Let me put myself back up because I need you to hear it. I want you to hear these words: gracious, patient, and forgiving, and loyal, and understanding. A strategy for everyone else. We're supposed to be a strategy for everyone else, while everybody else gets to be selective, self-interested, politically calculating. That's an imbalance being called out because you can't say Black voters are not the backbone of a democracy, of this democracy, but then disappear with Black candidates need visibility and support. You can't say you can't say we value diversity, but only invest in candidates who already have elite networks, institution backings, and powerful connections. You can't say we're fighting for justice while you're ignoring the people fighting inside your own political house. You can't say you cannot have both ways. And people are not wrong for noticing the contradiction out there. They're not wrong for noticing that you came running to get the Black vote back. They're not wrong for noticing that. They're wrong for not calling it out. They're not wrong for saying it. The kind Black people are always expected to be gracious, patient, forgiving, loyal, understanding. A strategy for everybody else. I just want to repeat that. While everybody else runs their own agenda, we're fighting for justice while ignoring the people fighting inside your political house. I'm gonna say it until I get to the end of it. I need to say that because you can, and people are not wrong for noticing. They're not wrong. You can't say that they are. And symbolism matters. Remember that. Symbolism matters, especially in Black communities that have spent generations carrying movements, elections, and institutions on their back. And then there's the point about Chuck Rocha. Chuck Rocha himself publicly discussed how some campaigns fail to prioritize Black voters early, only to later realize they needed them. That's not a rumor. That's the internet gossip. That's the real critique that already exists before this moment. So when people saw Barack suddenly appear publicly for James Talarico after many felt Jasmine Crockett had to fight without the same visibility, institution, energy, it triggered something emotionally and historically for some people, especially me. It created what only can be described, and this is a harsh words, but I want to say it, and some people are going to get mad at me, described as the Django feeling, the movie. Not because anyone is calling people traitors, because it felt like someone should be protecting the community. This was instead protecting the structure. Samuel Jackson played a great part in that movie. And everything that I put into this thing told me not to bring that into it. But I had to bring it in because Samuel Jackson was basically saying, Master, what makes this thinks that he can ride up here on this nag? Jasmine wasn't riding a nag. Jasmine came up there with her credentials in place. In place. I'm just calling it what it is. I'm going to get out of here. At some point, We have to protect our own community instead of protecting the structure. And that feeling carries historical weight for a race of people that have been fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting. Because Black communities know what it feels like to have their labor used, their loyalty expected, and their struggle minimized, their pain explained away, and their support treated as automatic. History is still alive emotionally. That's why people keep asking, at what cost? At what cost? Do we sacrifice one of our own? At what cost do we sacrifice one of our own? I woke up this morning and you know how stuff come up on your screen when you first open it up and you go into Google or somewhere and you're at that first screen where you got to sign in. The first thing I seen up there when I woke up was a all-white sheep. Being an all-white sheep in the middle of nowhere. And anytime that you see those screens that come up on your computer before you sign in, they ask you, do you want to see more pictures like this? I don't want to see no more pictures because it's costing us as a people. It's telling our kids that they cannot be like everybody else. They have to run, jump, do everything faster than everybody else. They have to go to school and get overqualified so they could be recognized by even our own people. At what cost do we prioritize political strategy over visible solidarity? At what cost do we ask Black communities to keep carrying institutions that don't always visibly carry them back? And at what point do we keep telling people not to believe what they are plainly seeing in front of their eyes? I want to leave you there. If you don't understand anything else that I've said, if you don't get anything else, since they say y'all like videos, I'm going to bring this one back up to the stage because it tells you a story. I don't even want to leave with his picture up there because I don't want to do him that disservice. But I want to leave you with this.
Jasmine Crockett. And late fall, poll after poll was showing that she would have a huge lead if she entered the Democratic primary. To her credit, Crockett said she was going to run her own polling to look at how she would fare in general, particularly looking at if she could expand the electorate, something that she thought was key to winning a statewide seat in Texas. And it's important to remember that this was all happening at the same time as major gaps were being found in the Talarico campaign. There was serious concern about whether or not he could actually carry the ticket. And so everyone played this game of will she, won't she? But by the end of November, it was clear that Jasmine Crockett would be entering this race. And so once again, discussions started to try to build this statewide slate again. But in order to do so, Talarico would have to drop from the Senate race and move over to the governor's race. If he would agree to do so, there were multiple names ready to go that would file for other statewide seats to give us the best slate possible to make sure that we flip seats up and down the ballot in November. But at the advice of his consultants, whose experience is in federal campaigns, not state campaigns, he once again was the cog in the wheel when it came to getting a statewide slate. This was even after Crockett suggested they share internal polling to see who was truly best fit to run in the general election. And as someone who traditionally focuses primarily on our down ballot races and knows we have to win 14 state house seats before the 2030 census if Democrats want a chance at drawing those maps, was a big red flag in a sea of flags that I'd already talked to the campaign about. So that's the tea, and that's one of the reasons why you started to see a change in my coverage of the Senate race. And it's
You heard it. You heard it from her. Let me show you what I sent out in my greetings this morning. It's full of, as human beings, we have to make many choices. If you look at that picture that's on the stage, it's got faith on one side. It's got that sheep that I seen this morning as I opened up. On the other side, it's all the riches that there could be. And in the bottom of the screen, you see religion. Now, I'm going to tell you the reason why that's there. Because if you open up your churches, you're making a choice right there. You're making a choice. Either you're going to go with faith or you're going to go with religion. That's the choice that you're making. I want to say thank God. And that's Jasmine in white, in case you don't know it. In case you don't know it. They betrayed her. They left her out to hang. And we're going to pay for it in the long run. I see that you lived in Alabama and have followed Jasmine since she was on the State House. You see what I'm saying? Real people are out there supporting Jasmine. I'm going to still support them, but I just hate the way that y'all set it up to fail. I really do. And I'm going to bring myself back to the stage and like this. At what cost? For the good of the party? That's what you want. That's what you're here for. That's what you're here for. Don't tell us anything different. For the good of the party. You're here for the good of the party. But at what cost are you here for the good of the party? It wasn't like she wasn't good enough. It wasn't like she didn't have the credentials. Actually had more credentials than the person that you're trying to get the black vote to come back for. I'm going to say this. Thank God. And I'm going to get out of here. I hope you enjoyed it. I didn't get up a chance to get all my videos up, but I think I made a point beyond points. Stop ruining your reputation. Stop ruining your reputation. Stop letting these people use you. Stop letting them use you. And I'm going to leave it right there because I'm a nobody. And I'm sitting here telling you that I can see it. Everybody else can see it. Don't ruin your reputation behind these people. Out.